this video, we're doing a bunch of stuff like maintenance, some little mods, some painting, and even going to RR Racing to grab some other parts for the ISF, so definitely stick around. So if you're new to the channel, let me get you up to speed. Here is my 2008 Lexus ISF. I bought it for $17,000 from my brother with 145,000 miles. Now I've done some maintenance and some smaller modifications to it so far, and I've made videos along the way. One of the nicer modifications I've done is the steering wheel. I've upgraded it to a carbon fiber style, and it really improves the driving experience. In this video, we're going to continue with the maintenance and the modifications to my Lexus ISF. So hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Martin, and this is Marty Motoring. I am in my garage. I'm not sure if I ever actually showed this on video, but we got our parts cabinet. I put together a little detail cart. We have a little bit of a work area with some parts and the toolboxes, and of course the flag. I've never owned a Mopar vehicle, but we have the original IS350 that pretty much started the channel, and a cool little sign, and some of the old license plates from previous builds. Here on the table we have a caliper painting kit, which I'm about to show you how the results for that came out, and some rear differential fluid and automatic transmission fluid. Now we're going to be going to RR Racing to get that done, as well as some other pretty semi-big mod that will really change the appearance of the car. First things first, let me show you how the painted calipers came out, and then I want to wash the car and wash the factory wheels and just get it ready for a few days from now when we actually go to RR Racing. There's where all the money goes. That's why I'm not modifying the car. Just kidding, but here are the original wheels. They're not in bad shape. They're actually Neiman Marcus wheels. They're not even the original stock wheels. Here I have the stock wheels sitting, and I'm going to be selling them. With all baby jokes aside, here are the calipers painted. Now, I will say this is probably like a 6 out of 10 job. The paint didn't work as I thought it would. I also didn't prep as well as I should have, and I was doing it with a very limited time and not so great weather that we had. The calipers aren't the best looking, but I can always redo them later, and this at least gets them yellow for now. I went with yellow because I do want to wrap the car a color that would blend well with that, and I think the yellow just pops on the silver as well. I also hit each rotor with some zinc it due to some rust and corrosion, and that'll just prevent that from happening any further and gives it a nice gray look. With the sale of the car, I got carbon fiber side skirts and a front lip, which I had previously installed, and the side skirts look pretty good. They were a little tricky to get on, but I think I have enough bolts and screws in them to hold them on. I also got some fender liners for the front wheel wells installed, and now that everything's on, the paint is dry, it's time to wash this car because it's extremely dusty and dirty. So now the car is clean. The little rinse, wash, rinse, dry with quick detailer, and clean the wheels as well. The calipers are looking a little cleaner. I mean, they're nice and fresh so that we can put the wheels back on. I did take off the spacers that I had on there only because we're going to actually be removing these again pretty soon, so maybe that gives you a clue as to what we're doing, but it looks pretty good. Let's see how it looks once the wheels are on and the car is back on the ground. And here's a better look at the caliper. You can see the brush strokes in the paint. Again, this is some on me, some on the paint. I would definitely recommend the G2 caliper paint over this Poor 15 paint just because of that alone. But again, the prep work or lack of prep work was on me, and I'm willing to accept that. So I'm just gonna slap these Brembo heat resistant vinyl stickers on. They're not even what I thought they would be, like a regular vinyl decal. They're clear backed and printed, so this isn't even really what I want, but I think it definitely improves the look, and I already spent the money, so I might as well put them on. It doesn't look half bad, especially from far away. It looks better, but I definitely need to clean up that hardware. I'm just gonna hit this wheel with some Adams wheel and tire cleaner just to make it shiny for this presentation. With the wheel cleaned up, we can throw the lug nuts on. Now I'm using these black coated factory style lug nuts that I got online, and I'll have a link for them in the description below if you want to grab some, because these cars come with chrome and I think the black looks a lot better. I just thread on the lug nuts by hand, and then I use my Milwaukee Impact to tighten them onto the wheel, and then I use a torque wrench to tighten to spec once the car is closer to the ground. Once all four wheels are on, it's time to lower the car to the ground, and this part's always a little bit tricky because of how my driveway is, how my Harbor Freight jacks are, and due to the fact now we have carbon fiber side skirts that we do not want to mess up. But one quick look at the finished product on the rear. You can see the Brembo decal that I put on. I ended up just doing the Brembo logo so that it didn't say Brembo on such a tiny caliper. So for the rear to come down, I just jack it up from the rear diff, remove the jack stands, and I can lower it, and the back is down and good to go. Now the front is where it gets tricky. I definitely need some rubber lifting pucks for my jacks because this is where it got tricky. I was trying not to break the carbon fiber side skirts. I had jacks on both sides. I ended up using the only spare wood that I had laying around, which was some old wood flooring, and this is not recommended by any means, but it got the tire on the ground, it got the car on the ground, and I did this for both sides. Eventually I was successful and the car rolls right off of them. All right, so it's a few days later and we are headed to RR Racing. We're about 10 minutes away. Gonna put the car in the lift, make sure it's healthy, make sure everything is good, and also going to do a transmission drain and fill, which I've done on my previous two cars, and the rear diff fluid, which I've also done before. So this is just a healthy checkup, a little bit of maintenance, and there is one mod coming. I can't wait to see how it looks on the car. And we've arrived. So we're with Rafi from RR Racing here in the ISF, and we're just gonna get indication of the health on the car we're at 146,482. So there is some mileage on this car. I'm not exactly sure what was ever done besides the tune and regular maintenance. So that's why I'm here, to check up on the health of the car and just make sure it's gonna keep running nicely and be healthy and not cause any problems.
We're just gonna start it up. So the KCLV is actually okay. Not a super high one, but not bad. So you're at around 19.3. And 19.3, if you were to dyno this car, it would do well, but it wouldn't be like one of the high ones. It could be a variety of things. We actually go through it on our website. It could be, for example, just carbon buildup, something simple like that. And doing like a long-term treatment. I recommend like 𝗕𝗓𝗪 is really good stuff. That sometimes helps. It could just be a slightly lower compression. So we do a lot of compression tests on these cars. I mean a lot, especially since we have customers inquiring about superchargers, and that's usually the first thing we ask them to do because it's a good general indicator of the health of the engine. And that may also be something you want to do, Marty, because it'll give you a good idea of where you're at. We do find quite a variability. Sometimes you'll find a 70,000 mile ISF where it's running 30 psi lower on one or two cylinders than the others. Sometimes you'll find 150,000 mile ISF that's running 205 psi in every cylinder like a new car. You're looking at a 14-year-old car. So at the very least, it's probably a good idea also to change the boot of the plug. Very inexpensive. You can get them at Rock Auto. They tend to dry out over time. You can also kind of artificially get the KCLV up by modifying the tune a bit. But my take on that is that you're not really addressing the root cause of the problem, because sometimes there are real maintenance root cause issues for things like this, like I just mentioned: lower compression, carbon buildup, just the overall health of the engine. So increasing the KCLV by just manipulating the tune a bit is not really going to help you that much in a lot of cases. So it's better just to tackle all of your maintenance issues and be really sure that you've tackled all your maintenance issues. And then you can always, send us a data log. We could tweak. Another very, very common thing, if you're buying an ISF or you're just checking yours out, is fuel trims. And a lot of times fuel trims, when they're excessive, are caused by air leaks, which could be either in your intake or your exhaust. The exhaust leaks are actually really easy to detect. And the best way to do that is you can use either TechStream or you can use an OBD logging tool, and you basically need to log your fuel trims on bank 1 sensor 1 and bank 2 sensor 1. We have short-term fuel trim, bank 1 and bank 2, and we are going to bring up the long-term bank 1 and bank 2. So Our bank one is now running at 4% positive short and 4% positive long, and our bank 2 is at 4 and 9. So that's a difference, overall difference of about almost 5% between the left and right bank.
Oh wow.
And usually that means, now this is actually a relatively minor difference, but if you were to actually log a totally new, super, sorted setup, there wouldn't be more than 1 or 2% difference even.
Okay.
So sometimes it's an indicator that there is a slight exhaust leak.
Which you can almost hear right now.
Yeah, you might hear that.
It's probably
Does this have headers?
No, it has the original exhaust manifold, so they're probably either
It's
cracked
probably
or the flanges.
Yeah,
Spot.
location.
So the easy way to fix that is get headers.
Yeah. By the way, having this disparity left-right fuel trims, that can also lead to a lower KCLV. And that's what I mean by sort all your maintenance issues before you start trying to tune out problems.
That makes sense.
If you don't tune out problems, you find the root cause of the problems, and then you can do tuning or logging, whatever you need to do.
I guess we have to take the cover off to really see the valley plate, or no?
Yeah, and also from the bottom we can see it. So.
Okay. Doesn't look too rusted out or anything. This was like my brother ran over a piece of wood and it like ripped open the transmission cover, but it did its job.
Yeah, it's just a shield.
Yeah, because if they would have hit the pan, that would have been bad. So 𝗙𝗓𝗟 at RR Racing did a quick inspection of the vehicle, looking at everything, how worn it was, how rusted, and just pointing out things. The valley plate was not leaking, which is a common problem on these ISFs. So it may have already been done, especially at this mileage with no leaking. The motor mounts and transmission mounts could definitely be done and upgraded, but that might be something to wait to do while doing headers, so it's all part of the same labor. Exhaust looked good. Sway bar end link was loose, so he also tightened that up. When your brake calipers are the same color as the lift arms. So to do the transmission drain and fill, we're going to be using the factory ATF WS transmission fluid. I have, I think, 5.5 quarts of this, so it should be enough. There'll probably only be, 3 to 4 quarts that actually come out from the pan. So we'll see that next. So now let's see what came out and put the same amount back in. It doesn't look too dirty. Like it's dirty, but it's still reddish. It's not like black. So like 3.25 quarts or exactly 3 liters. We're Americans, we use quarts. We got a 5-liter engine. We got quarts of transmission fluid. It's all mixed up. So I'm leaving the engine cover off just so I'm able to access everything, and for heat, just so heat can dissipate and not get stuck under the engine cover. And yeah, it's not the prettiest, but I think it'll just be better long term for heat and accessibility. So now the car is good to go, and it looks really clean. There's no leaks or anything. Everything looks good for what it is for 146,000 miles. So the next step is going to be doing the one mod that I had planned for the day, which I just bought the other day. So let's get those on the car and see how they look. Okay, let it be known. I'm working hard when I ain't on the phone. This ain't a home, this ain't a phone. We are going with an Advan Racing RG3 wheel, powder coated wet charcoal, which is like this metallic dark gray. They are 19 by 9.5 with 275/30/19 Michelin Pilot Sport 4S's. Really good tire. I had these same tires on my IS350, and now I'm gonna have them on the ISF in a nice wide tread pattern. And these Advan Racing wheels are just really nice to begin with too. And they should be a little lighter than the factory wheels, hopefully. And yeah, they're just gonna look really good. So in order to install these today, we're gonna be using some hub-centric rings. These will go into the aftermarket wheels so that it sits on the hub of the car, and there's no movement there. This is just a safety precaution and puts the weight on the hub rather than the lug bolts. And they just go on like that. Also, we're going to be using some 𝗕𝗓𝗪 lug nuts. Now I got these on Amazon, so I'll have links in the description below if you want to get them for your car. These are tuner style lugs. They're only to be used on aftermarket wheels. They're not the OEM style lug, but these will work well, and they're a nice known company with good manufacturing, and also comes with the lug key. So they're black, gloss black, with the dark gray wheels. And there's a test fit. That looks awesome. Flush, big concave. So I will need to get center caps for these wheels, but for now, just gonna paint the hub black just so it's not as noticeable. All right, so the centers are painted, and now it's time to get the wheels on. So now the wheels are on. Lastly, we're gonna take the mufflers off and see how this sounds. Just give it a little bit more volume for me to rip around in. And I've just been wanting to do this, haven't really had the time, but saw the opportunity, so we're gonna do it. Now the Borla muffler is gone on this side. I left this one just because it's extra effort, and I just wanna see how this sounds to get a little more volume. So now we can torque the wheels down and we're good to go. Sounds so much better. Sounds so much better. Wow. Wow, yeah, that looks so good. So now we're back in the car. It's been a very eventful day. We do still have the check system just because we didn't have the TPMS reader and thing to fix that right now. But huge shout out to 𝗕𝗓𝗪 who worked on this and hooked me up with these wheels. They look awesome, the car is awesome, and he even took off the muffler, so just sounds a little bit more throaty now, which is exactly what I wanted. Transmission feels good after the fluid changed. It's nice to have that peace of mind. So just driving it for a few minutes, it just feels so much better already. I like the sound, the feel. I didn't feel any rubbing. The transmission feels good. I did a little bit of a launch and it felt great. So all around, the car is getting better and better. If you stuck around to the end of this video, thank you for watching. I appreciate that. And big thanks to RR Racing and the team there. They always help me out, and I always learn something new every time I go there and get my cars where they need to be. So I'm really enjoying this ISF and look forward to the next modification. I have a bunch planned in my head, so definitely if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more Lexus content, hit that subscribe button and follow along with the channel. You can also follow me on Instagram at Marty Motoring, always posting stuff there, and I try to respond to every message I can. With that said, thank you for watching, and as always, keep those wheels turning.